I am Nizamuddin Ahmad from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Taken the liberty to interchange the title with History of Hospice Palliative Care to avoid any confusion. History of Hospice Palliative Care, as recorded mostly by the contemporary historians, clusters around Western world and time-wise mostly relate to 19th and 20th century, a period of modern palliative care movement. But in reality, concept of the care of the dying is not a new one, rather a continuity of century-old tradition. So, for next 20 minutes, let us walk backward to see how far history of palliative care can take us. Unfortunately, the farther back one goes, the patchier the knowledge and understanding becomes. But unfortunately, time will only allow us to witness a few important milestones, but interested participants may consult the references given at the end of the presentation. Now, what's the situation of palliative care at present? Worldwide, it has been estimated that 56.8 million people require palliative care to alleviate suffering during their final phase of life, and 7% of this estimation are children. But Africa, Southeast Asia, and Western Pacific region accounts for 64% of adults in need of palliative care. Only 55 countries of the world now have some national palliative care plan, and 42% countries lack any palliative care initiative. Nevertheless, one must admit that by early 21st century, palliative care has made huge steps forward. As you can see, many international organizations and bodies have acknowledged palliative care as an essential component of healthcare. And this includes, most importantly, in 2014, the WHO Resolution 6719 urged all its member nations to strengthen their palliative care program and to integrate it throughout their full healthcare system. And in 2015, United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Roadmap includes palliative care component for universal health coverage. Now in 2020, there are 25,000 services caring for over 7 million patients, though it is only 12% of the total need. But then again, this figure was 16,000, providing care for 3 million patients and families only in 2011. Garnier, Jean Garnier, founded the Association des Dames de Coulvier in Lyon, France in 1842. The association opened few homes in subsequent years. The first home for the dying was opened in Britain in 1885 by Francis Davidson. It's known as the Fredenhams and later on was called St. Columbus. Irish Sister of Charity, led by Mary Aikenhead, opened Our Lady's Hospice in Dublin, Ireland in 1879, and then again St. Joseph's Hospice in London in 1905. In United States, Rose Hawthorne, a lady devoted to care of cancer patients, formed Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, which established 4 homes with, with one in Kenya. The work of these 4 women, according to the David Clark, have been the key source of inspiration to hospice development in next century. The religious and charitable character of these first hospices and homes for the dying continued for many decades. Afterward, medical care was not the core issue, though these places offered rather a safe passage to eternity for patients, mostly poor and destitute. Interestingly, during this period, medical advancement had a new beginning, which exploded subsequently, and also death was, which was initially a social, cultural, and religious issue, gradually started incorporating medical issues in it. Hospices were not much widely known until Dame Cicely Saunders found St. Christopher's Hospice in 1967. Dr. Saunders had been a nurse, then a social worker, and later a physician, but her focus of attention has always been care of the dying. She had visioned of a hospice that would be the first research and teaching hospice linking expert pain and symptom control, compassionate care, teaching and clinical research, and a pioneer in the field of palliative care. Indeed, it became so with the establishment of St. Christopher's Hospice. 2 years after the opening of St. Christopher's Hospice in England, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in the United States wrote a book on death and dying based on over 500 interviews with dying patients. The book immediately became a bestseller and gave people a first-hand insight into the emotions and the stages that people face when they are terminally ill. In her book, Dr. Kubler-Ross urged for better home care for cancer patients and that the patients should be given choice when it came to their own health care. Inspired by work of Elizabeth and Saunders, a Montreal-based surgeon, Balfour Mont, opened up an unit in Royal Victoria Hospital and named it Palliative Care Unit. This was the first hospital care unit in General Hospital. Palliative medicine was given a specialty in UK in 1987, and in 1989 WHO first defined palliative care, which was later modified in 2002. Since then, there's never looking back. Now, palliative care in the third world. The development of hospices in the Western world motivated a number of individuals to initiate similar ventures in lower and middle income countries with newer ideas. Now, without going into much detail of that, we'll only take one example, the India. The first formal palliative care in India was initiated in 1986 as a hospice in Mumbai. But in 1999, foreign non-government organizations in the state of Kerala, South India, joined their hand to launch the much-known innovative Neighborhood Network in Palliative Care program, which is basically a community-owned initiative in palliative care. Now, at present, with only 3% of the India's population, this state is providing two-thirds of India's palliative care services. The main components of Kerala model, which are their unique features also, are the community mobilizations and community ownership, an involvement of the local government with it, and incorporation of palliative care in their primary healthcare system. Now, this model has already made very positive impact on a number of neighboring countries as well as globally. And this model may offer a solution to many issues of palliative care in lower and middle countries. Now, if we remember this quote by Cicely Saunders, that there are not many original ideas in the world. One only brings together things culled from here and there, shakes the kaleidoscope, and finds a new pattern. That is really my feeling about St. Christopher's. Cicely Saunders wrote it to Grace Colden, her friend, in 1980. It is really so. Now, if you remember once again that we decided to walk backward in the history of palliative care, to many people, palliative care is considered as a recent phenomenon, but this may not be the whole truth, and this idea has been termed as anachronistic misjudgment by Michael Stolberg, another contemporary historian. Stolberg takes us around 1363 when the term cura palliativa was used by Guy de Chalice, implying alleviation of suffering. Pre-modern physicians, according to him, mentioned numerous case histories of vivid agonies that many patients had suffered in the final months and weeks of their lives. Now, of the so many, David Stolberg mentioned, very few of those of Michael Stolberg includes Guide in 16th century, who claimed that cancer patients' suffering could be diminished considerably and life can be prolonged even if not cured. Similar expressions was made by Francis Arceus, Lawrence Zubert, and Francis Sylvius and Paolo Zacchia in Rome. Uh, Now, that the concept of palliative care was much established in medical publications and texts from late 16th century onward actually, though the term back then carried a much wider meaning than what it is now today. Even students of medicine were taught about palliative treatment, and at some universities, students were able to gather practical experiences in this area. One may remember the English philosopher Francis Bacon, who reminded physicians' responsibility to help dying patients to face a gentle death even during 1600s. So, if you want to look farther back during the ancient time uh, as to how it was the care of the dying during that time, after all, the well known phrase by Hippocrates in 4000 BC, 400 BC, of that important phrase that we often utter, that cure sometimes, treat often, comfort always, tells us that comfort care is not exactly a new concept. There are many other examples which also say so. During Ashoka dynasty, in before Christian era, compassionate care for the dying used to be provided and has been depicted as Buddha's teaching for such care in stones. The first hospice in Rome is claimed to be established by Saint Fabiola. ND, uh, the Latin text from 1450 to 1415 to 1450, which offers advice on the protocols and procedures of a good death, explaining how to die well according to Christian precepts of the late Middle Age. Can also give example of the Islamic centers of care, which is well known as Bimaristan, say in Baghdad and Damascus, the Al-Adudi Bimaristan, Nur al-Din Bimaristan during 10th and 12th centuries. During that time, the hospitals were actually the places where even the patients before their final stage used to go there and even die there the hospitals were not allergic to death, and the patients were taken and given care there. So now, what we understand that palliative care or care of the dying people is not definitely an invention of 19th or 20th centuries. Its history goes farther back. And concept of the care of the dying probably has been there since human civilizations. Religious, social, cultural, and ritualistic values blended with update medical knowledge for appropriate end of life care at present time is probably what it is needed. And we also should further explore the history of palliative care homogeneously over the globe, uh, even in different uh, parts of the world. Now, any of you who are interested about we had been discussing so far can really go through these references where you'll find the elaborate history of palliative care. And who would like to elaborate something further can always contact me if necessary. And thank you very much for all your time.